Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to my friend. She is a pioneer of women's MMA. She is a former professional boxer that went toe-to-toe with Layla Ali, and if that isn't cool enough, she is also still on the revamped American Gladiator. She is the one and only Erin Toughill. Erin, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing? Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is all mine because, again, you did all of that stuff, and I'm like, and you're, what, in your 30s? Yeah, exactly. You're in your 30s. My goodness.
I know I look 28, but I'll be 44 in June. So Asian don't, it's the biggest thing. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 1,000%. And especially, I mean, I think a lot of people are, and myself included, that it became a Corona weight champion of 2020. So you didn't do that. And Rocky Nelson.
I gained a good 12, 13 pounds. Easy. Yeah. Especially at the beginning of this, I was like everyone else, I'm like, well, I can cuss, right?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Let's do that.
But just like everyone else, like what's happening, what's going on, and just having a lot of Modelo in the beginning of last year and just fucking rolled through it. And I'm like, all right, okay, we can see this is going to keep going. So you got to figure shit out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Rocky Nelson says you're a certified badass, and I couldn't agree with him anymore.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And our friend of the Fighter's Voice, Don McGuire, says Erin is a tremendous fighter. What a guest, Adam. Love when she was on my show. I'm pumped for this interview, as am I. And go ahead and check out the archives of the Fighter's Voice with Don McGuire.
Yeah, I had check out with him a while ago. He's another, true fan of the sport like you are. And Antonio McKee hooked that one up for me, I think, a little while ago. So great guy.
Oh. Yeah, shout out to Don McGuire, shout out to Rocky Nelson, shout out to Antonio and AJ McKee, all tremendous people, all mutual friends of ours, and yeah, man, this is amazing. But I mean, you've accomplished so much in such a short time. But how did it start with you? Because I mean, especially in the era that you were competing, to be a female fighter. Yeah, wow.
So like, I'll try to just make it quick, but I mean, I was an athlete my whole life, played soccer, softball, everything, from the age of 4. And then I was, I guess you could call it from a really young age, just problem, fighting a lot. I started getting fights in like 2nd, 3rd grade. But I was always a tremendous athlete. Come from an athletic family. My dad was a great athlete. My father was, blah, 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 blah. Going into high school, I played a lot of club soccer. I had colleges looking at me in like junior high. And when I went into high school at Redondo Union, I opted to, sorry, I'm getting a bunch of notifications. But I opted to just start partying instead because I just didn't care. I could have gotten a scholarship to Stanford to play soccer. I could have gotten several scholarships, and I chose to party instead. And I went to 5 different high schools in 3 years for fighting because I had a chip on my shoulder. Anybody who knows me knows that to be true. So I grew up in LA. Long story short, moved down here. I actually had been on my own since I was 16, but I moved out. I graduated early. I did like a GED or proficiency exam. When I came down here, I put myself through OCC. I ended up getting 2 AAs. I never transferred to Cal State Long Beach. I was going to do a kinesiology degree. And I started at that time was when cardio kickboxing was really big, right? So this is LA Boxing was where I started with Sean McCulley, Jason Perillo, all of those guys. And so I think I walked in there when I was, I don't know, maybe 18. Like I had my own place when I was 17 and going to school and working and whatever. And I started just training there, and I needed a cathartic something, an outlet. I didn't know how, I was pent up, blah, blah, blah. I needed something to do. And then Sean McCulley goes, "Hey, did you ever think about fighting?" And I'm like, by this time, I think I'm like 20 or something. I started jujitsu, messed around with that. I trained with Joe Moreira when I was 17, 18, Kleber Luciano when I was 18, 19. All those guys know me too. And then, I'm like 20 and I've been training for 6 months. And he goes, "Yeah, you ever thought about fighting?" And I was like, "I fight every freaking weekend at the bars. Why not?" And so my first fight was in Aruba. Gilbert Ivel was on this card. Heath Herring was on this card. There was a lot of, it was like I can't remember the acronym for it, but it was like, I think World Valley Tudo or something. And a lot of Dutch were there. It was in Aruba. I was getting $1,000 to go there. So I was like, yeah, I'm tough. I can do this. And then I realized who I was fighting. Back then you couldn't research people and you had VHS tapes. You'd have to order from the back of fucking Black Belt. And I remember Sean and I and Jason Perillo and his brother, Justin McCulley, who fought on that too. A lot of big names did. And we're watching and we're like, he's like, "You could beat this chick." She's like a grown ass woman. I was 20. I think I was 21, just turned 21. And this chick had like 4 MMA fights. She was Bob Schreiber. Do you remember Bob Schreiber?
Yes.
She was his wife, Irma Verhoeven. So she looked like a fucking dude. And I'm like, she didn't look that big on the tape, right? And I'm thinking I'm a badass, and I am like a little local badass, but like I was not at that level by any means. I should not have been in that fight, really. I ended up getting a draw, but I get there and I'm like, she's like a grown ass woman, like 35 years old. And I'm like, "Sean, what the fuck?" So it was like the Dutch versus the Americans, right? And all the Dutch were walking around going, "Irma's gonna beat your ass, Irma's," and I was like, "Fuck these motherfuckers." I'm like, "Go in there." The women this is how badass we were back then. So this shit doesn't happen now. The women were 1 15-minute round. 1 15-minute round. The men one 15. Look it up on Wikipedia. 1 15-minute round. Okay. I know we didn't know that. How do you train for that? Number one, the men were 1 30-minute round. And it was her and I only had one fight. And everyone's thinking she's gonna fucking smash me, and I get a draw with her. But the men, it was brackets. So I think Heath Herring ended up winning that. But the men, they did the whole round. It was a 30-minute round, and you could fight like 3 times, I think, in one night. And just kind of skipping around. But that's how that happened. And maybe if I got beat up, I would have never done it again. But I came back and I was like, really after the fight, after I got out of there, I was like, thank God, number one. And number two, I loved it. It was scary as hell. So scary, but I loved it. And, when you were fighting back then, it's like, I think there was MMA.tv. And I didn't even have that back then. I didn't even have a fucking computer in 1999. This was 1999. Okay.
Wow.
So we were just fighting because we loved it and we were crazy, and women's boxing was getting big. It was in its, I guess, opening. It didn't get a little bigger until 2003, 4, 5, when Layla and I were, Ann Wolf, all those people. It was way bigger then than it is now, number one. But MMA was big in Japan and in other countries. It wasn't even legal here until 05 or something.
05, yeah.
Okay, so anyone who was fighting before then, we were crazy. You just like to do it. So that's really how I guess, long story short, how that came to be. And little did I know, when I had all these fights in the beginning, I had no intention of this being some career or that I was going to be good at it. I just did it because I enjoyed it and it was fun and we were crazy. And little did I know, I was in the throes of, I guess, like building a career. And then later, a few years later, I get a computer and I'm like, what is this? I'm like reading. I'm like, Erin was doing this. And I'm like, what? This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
Which, the one thing that I love about that story, first off, I mean, in 2020, we kind of heard some things, right? We heard of, the whole kind of Jeffrey Epstein deal, flying out to an island, right? That was like not good at all, right? But they fly you out to an island to fight, right? And Aruba, right? That is a lyric. That is the chorus to the Beach Boys' Kokomo, Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you, right? But you're going to, like, literally, essentially take somebody's life, somebody's W away from them. Like, holy shit! Like, that wasn't paradise. I mean, it was a type of paradise, but it wasn't. I mean, you're going there to throw fisticuffs. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, normal people don't do that. You know what I mean? Now, like, I touch on this now because obviously I'm a coach and I've seen the evolution and yeah, there are true martial artists today and I don't know. I think real ones have their own definition, and then the people who are clout chasers are something different. I can't say I respect everyone that gets in the ring. I don't like when people say that. I know it's tough, but it's I don't know. I mean, I pick and choose. I'm not just going to say like, this is not for everybody. And I've watched both men and women over the years. You know, they ain't about this fucking life.
Yeah.
I think they fucking are, and they can talk the talk, but can they walk the walk? And it's like, if you lose, that's the biggest thing. You know, a lot of fighters are very lucky if they don't lose. I've had a couple losses and I've learned a lot from them. And the key is, do you come back after that or do you make excuses? And it's like, any loss I've had, I've bounced back and learned from it. And, you know, but clout chasers, they don't know how to deal with loss and rejection and the word no. You know, that's that new fucking generation is like, what respectful little shits in this fucking where it's like, they are not respectful and they don't have loyalty and they don't know what fucking honor is. And it's like, I'm very open about that stuff. People know me.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because Don McGuire says, Erin, don't take no bullshit. 100% real and 100% respected. Absolutely.
That's right. The way I speak, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
Know that. And people, anyone who knows me knows this. And I want the same transparency. You know, when somebody speaks to me, it's like, I can tell when people are full of shit.
Yeah.
You know? And that's not for me to say. I observe and I watch, and then I will make a decision based on an action that they choose.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as I reiterated when you and I were talking before the show started, it's like our circumstances are due to the choices we make. So, you got to be culpable and responsible for your own shit. It's not easy. I was like that at one point, like, no, I destroyed my career, but it was everyone else, you know. No, got to take responsibility. And that's just, I think, part of being a human being, number one, but just being a good martial artist. Being humble.
Yeah.
It'll humble you. There's some fucking man.
No, 100%. Which Don McGuire wants to know, what was it like hanging out with his brother Justin McCauley?
Justin, oh my God. I actually ran into Justin a little over a year ago. We hadn't seen each other for quite a few years. I was always very close. Justin and I are the same age. Okay. So Justin and I are both 43, 44. Sean McCauley was like my older brother, right? He was a few years just in time we never fucking got along. We just didn't get along. We didn't get along. And I was scared. He would be like, fuck you, Erin, and this is 99, early
Yeah.
2000s. I didn't take off from LA boxing till I think 04 or something. Then I split and I like CSW around that time. But I was very loyal to Sean. And I'm still very close with him now. We talk once or twice a month. He lives in Costa Rica. And we have a lot of stories, but we didn't talk for a while. Everyone was doing their own thing. Anyway, digressing, going back to Justin. So it was funny seeing him because I ran into him at a UFC right before COVID.
Right.
So we hung out that night, a couple of our friends, and why do you think they call him Just Insane? He's crazy as fuck. And
that is exactly, and this, feel free to explore wormholes because that's what we do here. But that's when Don asked that question, that's what I expected. So
yeah.
I thank you for fucking fulfilling that for me.
I mean, and because you guys are wrestling buffs too, and all those guys, like I'm not of course we grew up on Hulk Hogan and Glow and all that shit, but it was like I never even though all the guys from LA boxing were doing wrestling and jobbing and whatever over there, I was like, that's fucking crazy. I'm not doing that. But this is how badass this was. Antonio Inoki would come into LA boxing.
No shit. Please sell this. Go down a full-on wormhole. I'm in.
So many people who came through that gym back in the day, like champions, boxing, MMA. Sean had a great relationship with Inoki, so they would send their wrestlers over there to train. Sean for Pride. Sean did a lot. But Inoki was like, even though I didn't really know the magnitude of who he was, because I did not, you could tell it's the charisma, right? He's a big man, number one, but he important. He was, I was going to Japan enough to know like who's who in the zoo is what we call it, like the gangsters and with the Russians and the Japanese and that was like real shit back then.
Oh yeah, the guys that would show up to Pride shows in like 100-degree heat with sweaters and shit. Just saying, may or may not be the Yakuza, but I didn't say that on air. Just saying.
We're crazy. It was like I said, they weren't testing, like they weren't doing any of that stuff, and really no one cared.
Yes.
I just was like went there to fight, and I think I remember before probably one or two of my like MMA fights in the beginning, just several days out, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna beat this chick's ass anyway. So we're getting drunk. We're already drunk, and it was like 23, 24, and I beat the shit out of him. I'm kidding. So,
I fucking love this.
Stories.
I still love this.
So, I mean, we'd go to Roppongi. You know what I mean? One of my good friends still to this day is Ensign Inouye. And one time, him and Josh Barnett cornered me. This was one of my last fights, I think 2004 or something like that. But, I beat this girl, whatever. But it was like, when you go to Japan, when you really want to see what's going on, you have to go. The Japanese have to take you, right? So
yes.
Of course, Smack Girl and all those other ones. And I cannot remember the name of the huge wrestling promotion that Inoki did and Sean would work for.
New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Yes, correct. That's right. New Japan. So, they were all gangsters. And they just were. And we'd go places and that you wouldn't be allowed to go. Oh, my God. And then, several hours after the fight or whatever, you don't remember anything because everyone's just fucking shit. And we're going to Wall Street was like a big place in Shinjuku. I think
Shinjuku province. Yeah.
Just fun. We had some fun. And it'll never be like that again.
No. Yeah.
I got to go, I think, to Pride's I was talking to Rampage Jackson about this the other day when I first met him. I had a fight in '01, and then the next night was when he had his debut in Pride against Sakuraba. And
No shit.
oh my God, Erin, are you shitting me? You know, so I go, yeah, don't you remember I was there with Debbie Perso? Oh my fucking God. I mean, him and I go back 20 fucking years. So it's like,
Damn,
we
that
have
is.
stories.
Yes, which I want to revisit. But Yokis, he says that in the podcast with Diana Debo Mendoza,
Mhm.
she mentioned exploring Mexico City after Fearless with you, and it was awesome. Can you address some of the anecdotes from your experience at Fearless last year?
Debo's awesome. Number one, she did a great job in there.
Yeah.
Came with her, and then Justin Governale flew from Texas. That was the first time I'm meeting him. He's real as fuck, and
He's
like
fucking great. Justin is amazing.
hilarious. I wanted to beat his ass at first, but I was like, he's so real. Like, we still talk, you know what I mean? But I had never met him, and I know he came from Subfighter, and I know Adam and all those guys, but Subfighter was never one of my gyms because they were South County, but we all knew each other. So anyway, going back to this, to tell you the truth, it was very dangerous. Even Justin, who was like ex-sniper, he does all that shit. Like, he knew we were. We stayed in the area, it was like near the embassy. That doesn't matter. Mexico City is very dangerous, and to tell you the truth, if I had known where the fight was going to be in one of the most dangerous cities in Mexico City, I wouldn't have gone.
Wow.
I'm tough, but I am not stupid.
Okay.
Big fuck common sense. I know places to stay from. I've traveled extensively. Not as much as Justin. I defer to people like that when I am with them and to them. And you have to make wise decisions. I'm glad it turned out okay, but there was one or two instances where I had to go to the city next door to go get some money from the bank. And it was like, the cab driver was like, "Are you guys serious?" He was with me. He was like, "Are you guys serious? You have to go here." It was the closest we had to go to this Azteca Bank because somebody was sending me money. And I go, "Oh my fucking God." I was like, it was very, very dangerous there. And so the guy waited for us, and like, he was like, "Ugh," you know, and it's like, I don't speak Spanish. I speak very slowly. I can write it.
Wow.
But like conversational, and I'm very rudimentary. I'm still learning. Deep speak it. Justin can speak it. And I know enough to I can understand it. They speak slow enough. And I just was like, oh. But regardless, we had a great time. We are safe. She got the win. We got out of the place where so when we went to the fight, it was like an hour away. And when you're driving deep, 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 and you're like, it's like, you're not going to a good fucking area. And it wasn't. Scary. And so, cab drivers didn't even want to come up there to pick us up to bring us back. Okay. So, I know I've traveled enough. If the cops pull you over, you get them. Just hope they don't. You will never get found. Okay.
Yeah.
Do something with you and take it. Let them, just for anyone who's listening, let them take it. You can replace your passport. You can replace all that stuff. It's very dangerous right now. And it has been for several years. Let them take it. You can't get your life back, and they will you'll never be found. You'll disappear and they'll never find you in those places. So we were with one person in particular who was being very loud, very fucking bringing a lot of attention to us. And we were like, that was one of the times that I felt like I wanted to punch this chick in the face. I'm like, shut the fuck up, stupid. Shut up. But again, I talk about common sense where it's like, if I know that somebody who has way more experience than me is a little I'll look it up. But people think it's different. There,
Yeah.
we did that too. Even when we went to other countries, it was like, yes, we can be dumb Americans. I get that, but we respect where we are, and we have to understand that we are not in our country.
Mm-hmm.
So, little tip for all you little idiots going out and running amok, and it's like just have respect, and most of the time you'll come back okay.
Most of the time, if you play your cards right, that's
Just like Voltaire says, common sense isn't so common. So I don't know.
there it is. There it is. And
But shout out to Debo if she's listening, because I love you.
of course she's listening. Shout out to, and she's like in the depths of like, she's in like Colombia, Costa Rica, some odd.
I don't know. I'm right now, actually a month or two ago, I took a step away from training fighters. I needed a break.
Yeah.
A lot of them on because they are, as I know, because I was a pain in the ass too. They're a pain in the ass. And I had one young kid that I was training for boxing, and just let me touch on this really quick. I like to talk about a lot of stuff. So as a female coach, obviously we have to put up with different stuff. Okay. So if you know me in this industry, I'm well connected, I'm well respected. Like the people, I am very good at my job. I'm a great mitt holder. I've apprenticed under some of the best in the world. I learned from like Buddy McGirt is my mentor right now. I've been under him for a year and a half. I go train with him as often as I can. He's very far away, but I try to make it a priority, more so now since we have time. But when I lived in Las Vegas and I trained at Extreme Couture, when I was married to Neil Melanson, I trained under like Ray Sefo. I've had Eric Paulson. I've had Brian Rauschbach, who's maybe a lesser known name, but he's a great coach. I've had very good coaches throughout my career. And so anyway, going back to that, where it's like, training fighters it's a big responsibility, and I take the job very seriously. And when I take them there, like they're under my wing, they're under my watch, and if something happens to them, I feel I'm responsible. A lot of coaches over the years, whatever, it's their fault. No, because I did have people that didn't have my best interest in mind as a woman, and they wanted to make money off me. They wanted to do other things. In the inception, I looked a certain way and I could fight and whatever. And I got taken advantage of very early in my career. There was a few things, I won't go into that, just financially and other things. Now I'm street smart, I'm common sense, but this is the kind of business, unless you're in it, you don't understand it. So I had to go through the motions. I fought at the highest levels in both boxing and MMA. I've seen it all. I've fucking seen it all. So going back to training, I had this kid that I was training. So for any parents out there, this is one thing. This is what made me kind of like, I kind of had like a break. Like I just got delusioned for a second, or maybe that's not the correct word, but
disillusioned.
The father came to me. He was a referral through a very good friend of mine. And the kid was 16, just turned 17, had been training at another MMA gym for a while, but he wanted to do boxing. Okay. So the father looked around for a while. He found somebody that he was really trusted his opinion. My friend referred me, and I knew this guy 20 odd years. We used to train at Team Punishment together. That being said, I was training the kid 2 or 3 times a week, actually. And we were going to do USA Boxing. I have a lot of experience that. I took Kay Hansen, USA Boxing. Yes. That's what I was going to do with Debo, and obviously COVID. One day, 6 weeks into this, and I'm like, the dad like stayed out of it, but he was a backseat driver. You know what I mean? But you didn't come to one of those dads, one of those parents they'll just fuck their kid's life up, right? Because they're just crazy. All their unrealized dreams, and they put them through their child. And You see that all the time in all sports. So anyway, well, the parent couldn't put his kid first, so he decides to, call me one day, and he's speaking not inappropriately, but like right at the line.
Oof.
Then, hey, do you have a boyfriend kind of thing? Or men scared you? The old, like, are guys scared of you because you kick ass? I fucking hate that line, by the way, men. If you're, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't think it's funny. Talk to me like a woman, not like, oh, you're going to kick my ass. It's like, I don't find that attractive. So anyway, and the guy and I was like, oh, well, I don't date people and I don't. That's why I have a very good reputation, because over the years, I don't shit where I eat.
Mm-hmm.
In a many moon, maybe, but it's like, you can ask fucking years and years of people who I've trained with, and it's like, no, I don't. I kept it separate. So then the dad asked me out the next day, and I said no, and then he got mad, and he said something rude, and I said, well, I think you're being really out of line with me right now, so I said, I don't do that with anybody. And then he took his kid the next day. He goes, oh, I go, okay, well, it's time to like that for his ex, whatever. And he goes, well, it's like whatever verbatim he said, but it was something like, I'm paying for a Rolls Royce right now. Hey, fucker. Like, you're getting what you pay for, number one. Anybody who knows me knows I know what the fuck I'm doing. Yep. And if you don't, I'm going to send you to somebody better than I am. And maybe they charge more. I don't know. I know what I'm worth, and that's what I charge. And I just went, all right. He wanted me to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good luck. Good luck. So I was tired of it. I just was like, I don't need to deal with this shit anymore. So parents, like, just, put your kid first. Put your kid first. If you're going to really trust the coach, if you need to get laid, like, I don't know, go on Tinder or something. Like, don't mess it up with the coach, whomever is training them. Stay out of the gym. Let your kid flourish. Let your kid evolve. Let it be organic is the best thing I think I could say. Support them. They might not even like it, but let him be. Everyone's like, my kid's going to be the next Conor McGregor. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times I heard that one?
Fuck. And again, for those keeping score, that is not a good pickup line either. Like, my kid is the next Conor McGregor, so you should train him for free, and then I'm gonna ask you out later.
Oh yeah,
not a good deal.
Like, trust me, I made a lot of money off him, and so I'm always, anytime you lose a financial aspect, that's always hard. But it was more like, I take anyone who's trained me knows I take great pride, and I I give a shit. Give a shit. So, that's it.
As well you should, because you've given your life to this. This is, this is something that you've literally done half of your life. And I mean, for anybody, if you're a fucking shoe salesman, I mean, like, literally that was the premise of Married with Children, right? But Al Bundy fucking took that shit seriously when he wanted to. So, right?
Like,
so
do it with pride. And if you're not happy, hey man, I'm very lucky I've been able to parlay whatever I've done. I never knew I would be still doing this and opening a business and whatever. It's like, I'm very happy doing this. I enjoy doing it. It's my passion. I like spreading knowledge, and I'm not a stupid human being by any means. It's like, I've been in this 25 years because you got to have a little something up there to still be relevant and to be respected, and people come and go, and my biggest thing is that my peers respect me. I like to look good too. I like to be sexy and all that stuff. And I used to do more sexy stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that shit. I think a woman, especially if they can use it, like, but fuck man, be able to fight too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I mean, I guess the male equivalent to you is like Alan Joban, who's like a Gucci model coming into this motherfucking thing.
But I like him. He's a good-looking man. But he can fight.
Yeah, Absolutely.
And I appreciate that. So it's like there's more women coming out. Women's MMA is way more popular than boxing. Women's boxing has been dead for um that's why you get these boxers wanting to cross over, and good for them. And see how hard this sport is. Everyone thinks this shit's easy until you're getting kneed and elbowed in the face.
Yeah.
They're
No.
like, I could get a black. Okay. All right.
Yeah, there's a reason why I have a microphone in my hand and shit. I love it, and again, I think the first time that I ever sparred was at Fight Academy, and I didn't even spar. It was just like intro class and what have you. And I have holding pads for me, and I for him, none other than James the Beast Wilson.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
And he's like, "Hit me harder." I'm like, "Nope, fuck no." Hit me harder.
Oh, hell no. No.
Yeah, because there's going to be a receipt to this shit, and I can't pay up. I'm just saying. Yeah. No, so I'm going to go on a bit of a wormhole, but I think it absolutely fits, and I think it encompasses a lot of your career, right? Because Antonio Inoki, follow me? Antonio Inoki came to LA boxing, right? Now, Antonio Inoki, aside from Judo Gene LaBelle and Milo Savage, is credited for having one of the first nationally known here in North America MMA contests against one Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. I remember.
Which, circling back, this is fun because you fight Ali's daughter in a boxing fight. Then you become a cast member, an actual gladiator on American Gladiators, where Layla Ali is the host.
Yeah,
so, talk me through this. This is amazing.
Well, this is a long time ago. This was like 5. But I was doing 2 sports at the same time because, first of all, too, people have to remember it's like, yes, I was doing it like in not the pure inception, but pretty close. Like I think
close.
Was like the first women's organization that was doing stuff L1. And they're a little older, but it's like, back then it was even Matafari, who's still fighting. I think she just fought the other day. Marloes, who fought for a long time, way after. But so this is 2003, 4, 5. And I started boxing around that time just to like supplement it. Because we couldn't go to Japan every month.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Sean had other fighters and maybe I had school or something, but it was like, so if I had known, this is why I tell you kids too, going back and forth, take your time. Once you go pro, you can't go back. I always tell them there's no rush, get the amateur work. I was pushed into boxing. Okay. I was pushed into it because I never thought I was going to do it. It was just to like stay busy.
Yeah.
Right. To like whatever. And then I lost my first one in a decision. I ended up fighting a woman that was 6'4".
Yes. I've seen it on YouTube. 100%.
Elizabeth Rump, 6'4". I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing in 20 years ago. And you're going to put me against somebody that is like, I'm almost 6 feet. Yes. And this bitch was 6'4".
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to deal with that. What's the inside? What's the outside?
Yeah.
What's mid-range? I don't know any of that shit. So it's like, I just remember I'm going, I think I lost that fight. And I lost a decision. And I won a bunch after that and then lost. But so yeah, with Ali, I'm cool with her now. She wrote something nice last year when I came back and I started fighting again. She's my age. She's obviously one of the greatest that ever was.
Yeah.
Much respect for her. I'm, back then we were in our 20s. And she's like me. If you talk some shit, she'll fucking take it 0 to 100 real fucking quick. But like, we're older. I'm like, we pick our battles. It's like, I'm respectful. She did a lot for the fucking sport. Very talented. And so anyway, but we did not like each other back then, of course. And I was like, oh, fuck you. You fight me in MMA. But I had the first, I think Jackie Nava fought for the first women's WBC belt, but Layla fought for the second ever women's WBC belt. And then we did another world title for, I think it was the IBA or
IBA, yeah.
something like that. Very prestigious. One of the top 2 of the 5 belts that we had back then. And women weren't able to fight for the WBC until us, Jackie Nava, and then her and I fought. So being a part of that, I did well for 3 rounds. She beat me. She broke my fucking nose in the first round. Shit happens. I think I was 6-1-1 when I fought her, and she was like 23-0. And I was like, I don't give a shit. And I wasn't scared of her. I'm not scared of anybody. It's like, just wasn't my night. Didn't go that well, but I did well. And so yeah. And then a year or 2 later, like actually 2 or 3 years later, was when the Gladiator thing came up. And the first season, I had a sports agent at the time, and he was like, hey, I want you to try out for this. And I was like, I thought I was so fucking too cool for school, right? I was like modeling and I'm Erin Toughill. Oh God, this is an asshole, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm only a fighter. I don't do, by the way, I've gone to like developmental camp too for like wrestling and stuff. But I went, no, I'm above that. I'm a fighter. My stupid ass, right? So, but going back, it's like all these things. I had many opportunities that I turned down because I was a real athlete, right? Funny, but it turns out exactly how it's supposed to be. I could have gone down that road and not be here today.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first season comes out, and they really wanted a fighter, and I saw like all these fitness models doing it. I go, fucking dumb. I'm not gonna do this shit. They wanted a fighter. They ended up hiring Gina Carano.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, I go, oh, okay. So then I ate fucking crow, right? Because that show kind of blew up.
Yeah.
And the second season. And so all these people that were doing cattle calls, like that was real. Like I didn't do that shit. We were able to I still had to go through a very rigorous, very hard hiring process, extensive background, they don't hire you if you're a liability. But I still had to go through that, but I got through the front door, like walked in with NBC, and you had to do a gimmick. We had to do in front of like 15 of their heads and be like, I'm a heel. I was a heel, right?
Yeah. Heel in wrestling. Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, so they hired me, and I had already known that because they had these fitness girls, and they would do like a lateral movement, right? And their fucking knee would blow out. So they're like, get some real fucking athletes in here. And they were so mad, right? But we crushed it. Like I was a secondary person to it. Gina was the first. She had seniority, but I mean, we had a fucking awesome time. Come on. We got paid a shit ton of money and just fucking beat people up. But I just remember Layla and I, for years, we were like, and I was like, fucking bitch. We'd like pass each other in the fucking like, in the eating the mess hall or whatever. And I'm, if she says something to me, I'll lose my fucking job. I don't give a shit. Didn't give a shit. People who know me know that I didn't care. I was like, I don't care. I'm not Hollywood, but I'll do the job, but I was a loose cannon. I'm still kind of one now, but I have more ahead.
Center the chi.
I think more ahead. I am. So, blah, blah, blah. We go our circle. But yeah, I know she's mom, and she comes in. I haven't seen her yet. She comes into Buddy McGirt's.
Oh, wow.
And so she goes in there, and Buddy told me that like a month or 2 ago. He goes, Layla was in here. I was like, fuck. And I only get to there once a week or every other week. I didn't go there for like a month or 2 during all this stuff. And I would love to see her again, get a picture with her. And she's one of the greatest of all time. So a lot of respect for her.
Yeah, she is, and it's crazy because, all right, there's a lot to unpack there. But I want to know, after that fight with Layla, right? Obviously, yes, there was some shit talking. I remember when that all went down. We ordered the pay-per-view for this, right? And I know there was the men's card. I can't even remember, but I remember YouTube.
Was the
yeah, Mike Tyson, right? Oh my God, what the fuck? Yes, but I remember that was.
He retired after that because he that was a hard fight for him.
Yes, it was. So, I mean, I know you guys both talked a lot of shit, right? But did you have any interaction with Muhammad
I
at
did
all?
I did not. And I think at that point, he was like really bad with his Parkinson's, I
Right.
think. And I don't know how much longer after that he passed, but I remember seeing him and it was like, of course, he's great, you know. So, but I just remember, you know, because I was like, okay, now I fought you in your fight. You fucking come fight me in MMA, you know. Hey, still to this day, you know, I know Miss Shields is trying to get in there or get in that, but it's like I'm still the only woman that's ranked in the top 5 of those sports at the same time. That's like a pretty cool thing. So even Holly, who I love, I don't
Holly Holm, yeah.
really, I'm a huge fan of hers. You want to talk about a warrior? Her.
Yeah.
She's a fucking badass. And she was top in both, but not at the same time. So, you know, I mean, the competition for boxing way tougher back then than it was now. Like
Oh yeah.
there's like 8 girls in our division right now, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
And I only came back to do boxing because this when I started training with McKee again over 2 years ago when they had the what was it? The Golden Boy MMA.
Yeah. Yes. The Tito Chuck 3.
Chuck was training with McKee with Body Shop.
Right.
And, that's when I got reintroduced and I hadn't seen McKee in many, many years, but blah, blah, blah. And we tried like hell. I hadn't even had an MMA fight in like 8 years because I retired after that last one. I told you that I lost.
Right.
And we had like 8 fucking girls turn it down. 8 girls. I called like my coaches I used to train with like at CSW. I'm like, hey, you got a chick that's my Erin, are you fucking crazy? We're not letting anyone fight you. True. You know, I never said I was the best boxer. I have really good fucking hands, but I am one of the best. I know I am one of the best MMA women. And that's a fact, you know, and there's girls that still won't fight me. It's like, I would like to fight Kayla Harrison. I don't got nothing personal against her. I've called her out a handful of times. She knows. I'd love to do that in PFL. I think I'm too old to do 45. You know what I mean? It's like my metabolism is not the same, but
yeah,
55, I'm a wrecking machine. So I would love to fight her. And she said yes one time, but it's like, call me if I'm so easy. Keep my old ass, right? It's like Ash kids half my age.
Those are facts. Those are facts. Which Don McGuire wants to know. And Antonio McKee is the Mandingo.
Yes, that's right.
What did you take away from his knowledge?
Oh shit! I was just in there the other day. I still go there. I'll tell you as well. He's another coach that I have great respect for. He is one of the smartest in the game.
Yes, he is.
He's got a murderer's row of men in there. They own Bellator. You know what I mean? Got like Joey Davis, his son AJ. They got a lot of people coming in and out of there from the UFC, and it's a scary crowd that goes in there. You know what I mean? So it's like when you get these tough young guys, it's like they want to go in there and they want to. It's like pop your chest. That's not a really good place to do it because those guys will pull your card. It's like, but they're very like, you know who's in there, and
yes.
But I train with all of them. There's only a couple of them that I won't, only because they're just big and they're scary. And my face still looks good, so I'm not trying to get it like completely smashed. But they're all very respectful to me. I'm very respectful to them. I don't come in there like I'm anything but just another person who's doing what they're doing. And coaches, I fucking love Tone. He makes us all laugh. He makes us the energy, the charisma, the family. They're a family. Mm-hmm. And I'm blessed to be able to, because I remember he knew who I was, but he's just thinking when one of my managers was like, hey, I want her to go in there. He's like, yeah, she's probably just another fucking chick coming in. Like, and that's how a lot of girls are. You know who I'm talking about. They come in and they're like, oh, yeah. Okay. And then they bang everyone on the mat. And it's like, okay, then they next gym, right? Like, then they, oh, don't hit me, I'm a girl, but I'll smash you in the face as hard as I want. Like, women are stupid. That shit. So,
Wait, that
like,
exists?
I
What?
no, it's fucking crazy. So it's like, I go in there and I work. I'm an athlete and I give respect and I blah blah blah, and I take my job very seriously. Even if I'm not fighting, I take my training very seriously, and all those guys know that. And I'm very thankful that they've welcomed me, and then I'm a team member with the body shop, and it's a great place to be. So
No,
love it.
absolutely. Don McGuire says, "Yep, that's exactly when he interviewed you and Chuck Liddell." It was
That's
a
that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
He didn't think, you know what I mean? Like Antonio knew me from way back then, but he wasn't like, oh yeah, I just trained her last week. I know she's gonna fit in fine with the guys. And like, I mean, it's a tough fucking crowd. And
yeah.
so I think they had one girl that was in there, and then she kind of, you know, probably banged everyone and then left or whatever. But now they for women in there, which is nice, and I help them. And these are the next generation, and they're very respectful. And that's like, we just help each other, you know, and it's camaraderie. It's very important for us to have that, especially right now, all this with what's going on. You know, you need to know
Yeah.
your people, and it's very important. So
No, that's it, and it's like with all the turmoil of like, 2020, like that's what I felt. Like people needed more MMA in their lives, right? Because I mean, we have everybody. You step on the mats, it doesn't matter who you voted for, doesn't matter what you believe, who you marry, whatever the fuck. We're all here. We're all here and we're all doing the thing. And even the people that aren't in the best of intentions, they soon find themselves a way. You don't even have to talk to coach. You don't have to whatever. They just find their way out of it.
very good. That's a very good point that a lot of people don't. That's like a very, you got to really know what's going on to understand that that happens. You don't got to do shit. They'll run themselves out. They'll do what they did at this gym and the next gym. And this is boxing and MMA. There are clout chasers, women and men. Like, and you look at their record and it's like, 5 coaches in the last 5 years. It ain't the coach, it's you. And so they get what they want from this gym. They're just let them wear themselves out, you know. They will.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Everybody,
Hi, buddy.
hi,
You're
Squid.
so cute.
So, yeah.
My pug literally just took a shit and then a nap off air. So that's why I call his name is Pugsley, because again, Adam's family, Pugsley.
Okay.
But his middle name is a Fuggin because he's a motherfugger. Fugger. So I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Squeakerton. You can follow her at the Squeakerton Chronicles if you'd like.
Oh, okay. That
She-
I'm doing.
She's the real star here. So
That's it. That's it.
yeah.
Now, Marco Martinez wants to know, hey, Erin, I first learned about you a few years ago when I attended the event at the Coliseum. You cornered Kay Hansen. How do you feel about her progress since that Coliseum show?
So her and I are still close. I saw her like a month or two ago, or probably about a month or two ago. But if you know and you follow like my career, you like he was saying, this was a few years ago when I was training her. She was she's probably the best fucking fighter I've ever had. I knew when I trained her. So let me tell you how I met her. Long story short.
Yes.
So this other girl at the time, Kay is what, 20 now?
Yeah.
20, 21. Okay. I called Eric Paulson and I'm like, hey, do you got any girls over there? So Kay was 16 at the time, right? And I had this chick I was training who, whatever. But anyway, she wanted to do MMA. I'm like, all right, I'll fucking bring you to some places, right? So Eric's like, yeah, come down. Tanya's like, yeah, we got this young girl. Okay. This little girl beat the shit out of my grown woman client, right? I was like, all right, this chick is looking badass, right? This little kid. So I didn't know her from anything. And then maybe I took my fighter in there one more time, and I always loved seeing Eric and Tanya and everybody else and whatever. And I get a call from her. Kay, I think it was 6 months later, and she messaged me and she goes, I want to do some boxing, blah, blah, blah. I didn't, I don't, I think she asked because sometimes their fighters come in and out, because I don't do MMA for, you know what I mean? Striking
Yeah.
for, I kind of do, but I'm really a boxing coach. And they're okay with, these schools are okay because they know, like, I'm not infringing on anything. I'm not trying to take anyone. It's an autonomous sport. I'm taking them to boxing. And so that's what I did with Kay. We got to like 5-0 or 6-0 in USA boxing, and she'd never had a fucking fight in her life. Awesome. Teamwork makes the dream work. So anyway, it took her to that Coliseum one. I knew back then she was going to be in the UFC. I knew. And here she is. You know what I mean? I don't train her anymore. She needed to do something that was more suited for her going into MMA. And I'm a huge fan of her. She supports me like I support her. That's one of those relationships where it's like, even though I'm not training her, she reminds me a lot of me when I was that age. And just, she never complained. She did what the fuck I told her to do. And I could talk to her a little more like, you know what I mean? I didn't have to, oh, did you run today? And if you didn't run, is that going to hurt your feelings? Like, I fucking hate I don't deal with people like that. You know, like when my coaches told me to do something, you can ask any of them, Eric, Tone, like I go in there and I fucking grind and I train, and I don't expect special treatment because I'm a woman, and that's why they respect me the way that they do, because I can go toe to toe and whatever. So going back to her, I knew that she was going to be in, when I saw her in Invicta, I was like, okay, that's good. I wasn't training her at that time. I didn't like how her career was going because she fights that she could have won. I would have advised something different. Be that as it may, she's gotten the opportunity that she did through all the hard work. She got herself there, and now she's doing very, very well. And I think she has the potential if they do it the right way. And she trains with Tyler and Classic, and I love Tyler and all those guys. He's a great coach. They do it the right way, the sky's the limit for her. And she's young, and she's like, she's got it, the world, she's got it all if they do it the right way. So
No.
I love it. I love seeing her success. You know, I really enjoy watching her flourish, become a young woman, going from a little kid to like, she's a woman now. And if you've watched her progression, you can see that she's coming into her own. So it's, if any young girls want like someone to like kind of emulate that they're looking for, go to her. She's great, you know.
I think it's amazing. And Don McGuire says, I know Kay personally. She can never be counted out. I've shot all of her Invicta fights, and he's absolutely, like you, proud of her.
Warrior. I have much respect for her, you know, and we had a great relationship. And I had a great experience with her, and I'm proud to be a part of it, because what these fighters, she knows that now, but like what these new fighters and all that, they think it's like you're doing me a fucking favor. You're doing me a favor, having me help you or something. Like, what? All right. Okay.
Oh, that's it's so funny, covering like camo shows and everything, and then a fighter will like go up, Frank Trigg or Chris Lieben will pull the fighter off, of a down opponent and whatever, and then that said fighter will push Frank Trigg or Chris Lieben. I'm like, oh, you don't know what this shows me. You don't know the history of the sport, because like I would rather play in traffic while I have my head in an alligator's mouth than try and push off Trigg or I'm just saying.
And you don't got to know the background. It's not about that. It's about the lack of respect and the lack of just like, you're not special. Okay. There's talent everywhere. There is talented people everywhere. It is the work ethic that separates you from everyone else. and your intelligence. It's like there's talented people a dime a dozen. I see them all the time, and what separated me was like my work ethic. And I don't think there could be one coach that could say I was lazy, or like, I'm sure I probably was a bitch a few times when I was cutting weight or like training for a fight, but it was like, I always respected my coaches. They told me to do something, I did it. And man, maybe that's because I grew up in athletics too. You know what I mean? I grew up in sports. Kay did as well. So she's used to being coached. It's all these people who come from these non-athletic backgrounds and they're not athletes. And then somebody tells them what to do and they're like, what? No, I mean, we grew up like that. And it's being coachable, and that all of that transfers directly into your life. If you can't take direction here, I promise you, and you have a problem with the word no and rejection and all of those things that are obstacles that make you a better person, if you can, which a lot of people can't overcome, I guarantee it's through in every fucking aspect of your life. We don't just pick and choose like, oh, I'm going to be this. You are like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, just like I said, going back to that, it's like, you're not doing anyone a favor. It's like, move aside, because there's somebody that is going to is as talented or more than you, and who's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Going to be a problem. They're that Kay Hansen. That's what everybody else is not going to do. So.
No, 1,000%, 1,000%. Which, I mean, bring up Kay. Don has one last question for you.
Don's like my biggest fan today. I love it.
Yeah, everybody's your biggest fan, myself included. But Don definitely takes the cake. So shout out to Don.
I might have one or two people watching just because they don't like me, and it's like, all right.
There you go. Hell yeah, of course.
Broke up with you, we can still be friends. It's okay.
Yeah, we can all be friends, right? But how much pride is instilled in knowing that you help pave the way for the future of the sport that we love?
Obviously I didn't know that then. That's not why I was doing it. But it's awesome to be a part of something. Whether it's the inception or the middle of it, it's like I'm proud. I'm proud that I give women a good name, that women, I can fight. And I'd like to think that I don't fight like a girl. You know what I mean? I'm a woman and I have aspects of, obviously I'm a female. And when you fight, you can tell the difference. But it's like, again, going back to like, it's so important for me that, yes, I was at the inception of it. But if people didn't respect me, honestly, none of that shit. So like, I go back to respect is forever. Respect is forever. So I've done many dumb things in 43 years. Okay. I still do dumb shit constantly. I just try to be a little smarter about it, but
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that your name is your legacy. Like I am Erin Toughill and I know what I've done for the sport. And now I'm still happy I can be a part of it, watching, whether I'm on the sidelines or training people or running a gym. It is very cool. I love watching it explode, more women getting involved. And yeah, but I'm glad, again, just going back to to have the respect that I do from my peers. That's crucial.
Absolutely. And he says, I've always been your biggest fan. You deserve the respect. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, respect is earned, but you had a litany of people that have helped you professionally and personally. Oh, here's Pugsley. Pugsley, there he is. He had to make a run in, so there you go. But you've had so many people help your career and mentor you, right? So let's get some shout outs out of the way.
Let's do, of course, give my very first coach, Sean McCulley. I give him a huge shout out. He's doing his thing. Little girl, he has a little daughter, and he's living in Costa Rica, running a gym, I think. Eric Paulson. I'm still very close with him and Tanya. I really am like a CW person. And so think about this. This is like a 20-year period that I have a handful of coaches, not 3 years. So Brian Rauschbach, who was also very instrumental in my career, I think I met him in several years after I was training at CSW. He has elite training in Redondo.
Yes.
And really, like we were talking about before we got on air, I retired for a long time. So there was a space that I wasn't fighting. I wasn't doing anything. If you follow my career, you know me. It was like, I was signed to Strike Force. I was, Neil Melanson, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And him and I are still very, very friendly. He was very instrumental with my growth too. He's a huge catch can. Like, if you don't know who this motherfucker is, scary as shit. Look him up, Neil Melanson. I always give great shout out to him. When I was married to him in 09, 10, 11, we lived in Vegas. He's still out. He finally went back there, but we trained at Extreme Couture. That's when I was training with like Cepho, Sean Tompkins before he died, right? That was when it was big crew out there. And none of them were really like my coaches. We just kind of all like trained together. And then a little bit after that, I moved back here and then took that hiatus. And who I'm training with now is Coach McKee over at Body Shop. So, and like Bobby, so let me give a shout out to Bobby's Boxing is in look, can you see it in Laguna Beach? Bobby's Boxing. So he's my coach. He's one of the coaches that has helped me through a lot of my boxing fights. He's great. We both train a girl. He's her main coach named Chelsea, I think you've seen me talk about her. She's a 3-summer lightweight. But Bobby is a great coach, one of the real ones too. Huge shout out to him. And Tone, and I know there's probably been a couple other. I give a huge shout out to Buddy McGirt. Obviously, that guy's fucking great. But yeah, I mean, those are the ones I can think of. I'm sorry if I'm missing somebody. Those people have been instrumental. I trained with them for years, but there's probably a couple of jiu-jitsu people too. James Moran, I trained for a long time. But yeah.
Yes. I have one last question. Do you have a favorite fight that you've been a part of? And it doesn't have to be the fight itself. It could be the leading up to it. It could be the after, or just the all-around experience, because it's more than just the minutes that you're in the ring or the cage. So do you have a favorite fight or fight experience?
Well, I think probably one of the biggest things, there's two, I guess. So in 2000, they had that the remix tournament. Okay, Marlos ended up winning that. By the way, she armbarred Becky, which was fucking amazing.
Yes,
because to be a part of that, that'll never happen again. 16-woman tournament. Okay, I was considered heavy because I was 155. So if I won, I'd have to fight 4 times in one fucking night. I fought 2. I fought both Russians on the Olympic judo team. Remember, one that was 230.
Yes, 230.
And then I lost to the 6'4", 330. Okay, I'm not scared of anyone. I probably was a little scared back then, but it's like, look at that. That'll never be. You'll never be like that again. Marlos, the smaller girls, 150 and under, had to fight 3 times. So she won. And then and several years later, when they did another bracket, and I fought 3 times in one night, I knocked the first girl. I knocked out Marlos. Knocked her. I'm the only woman who's ever knocked her out. Cyborg twice, and Cyborg couldn't knock her out. She stopped her, I think, but like knocked out.
Yeah.
That was a big thing because she was the shit, right? She was like 11-0 or 12-0, and I'm like,
yes,
all right. And then the third chick was that Umi, who I broke her arms her arm before that, and then I got disqualified because she was dirty. She was cheating. And I couldn't control myself, so I did something, and they disqualified me. One of the losses on my record. But getting to be a part of that shit is amazing. Like, there's no women doing that.
No.
Men are doing that.
Yes.
These open weight tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Do a 115-minute round, and I know we're almost out of time, but I know we talked about this earlier. I did want to talk about like strike really quick.
Yes.
People are always asking me if, why did you have long retirement. And why did you never fight? So if you know, I was signed to Strike Force 2009, 2010. I was one of their fifth or sixth highest paid athletes at the time.
Yes.
Female. I was one of the best out there. And I had any of the fights that I had a little bit before that, same thing. They weren't drug testing. I was addicted to pain medicine, and I had to pull out of any of those fights that were, you see on my Wikipedia, it was probably like 10 fights. Probably should have like 40 fights right now, even though I have like 30. I would have never passed the drug test. So Shannon Knapp was going out fucking limb for me, like Bob Cook, all these people back then. Like, I'm like, I broke my arm. It was like, no, because I was a drug addict. I was, and so that was while I was living. It was like a several year period. I had a legitimate injury in like 2006. I think I got suplexed on my neck. And, we didn't know. It was like, just give him medication.
Right.
Give him medication. And then, and 5 years later, I'm taking 30 Norco a day. I was taking 25 to 30 Norco a day. My husband, Neil, at the time, he's very open about this too. Both of us were taking him. He's finally clean too. And, that fucker always had my back. I'll tell you that. But that's how I destroyed my career. So it was like, I lost everything. I lost like my condo, I had a lot of material because I was very run by that back then. My $80,000 car, like people know. And that was all shit that I did. I bought it. I worked my ass off, but I also did everything I possibly could to destroy my career. And even during Gladiators, the tail end of it, that's when I was on it. And it was like, so if you see the last fight of my career, like you and I were talking,
yeah,
I wanted to pull out of that. I had a kidney infection. I was on enough drugs, like I said, to kill like a small village, right? And I was like, but they're not going to drug test. Brian Rauschbach came with me to that. He remembers, he knew. And he's like, fuck, dude, what are we going to fucking do? And I'm just going to fucking fight, because if I pull out of this, my career's over, right? But it was already over. It was already over. But I had a lot of pride cometh before the fall. So I had to lose everything to like get my shit together. And I lost that on a decision. I could have beat the shit out of that chick any day. And I didn't. Be that as it may. So then I realized my health was declining. And the doctor was like, I was like piss and blood. Like, I mean, I was using copious amounts of drugs. And people are like, how are you? And at the end, I was drinking on it because I was like, whatever, And I went through like a year or two period, probably a year after that. And then I was like, oh my God, okay. I was disgusted by myself. I was humiliated. Like it was, and I go, all right, you've lost everything, your dignity, your fucking integrity, like everything that you possibly could. I wasn't even living here. I was living in the desert with a family member to get clean. And I did. I stopped cold turkey. And if you've been addicted to pain medication and you're doing that many, like I won't tell you like the medical stuff that happened, but that's why everyone's dying from this shit, because it's very difficult and everyone's addicted to it. I know when people are addicted to it, I can see it. So it's been 10 years. I'm clean off that. Thank God. And so I took that last, it was several year period. Like the last 5 years of my life has just been really rebuilding from scratch. I lost my business. I lost fucking everything.
Wow.
I didn't have, all my savings was gone. I spent all my savings that I saved from modeling and this and that on drugs and bill collectors, And again, we talk about, my story is not many people go through this.
Yeah.
Most of the country is probably going through it now.
1,000%.
I just want to say, like it's very embarrassing. It's very humiliating. I've been there. I know probably people listening to the show who are struggling with it right now. It is not easy to get through, but it can be done. But you have to want to get clean. You have to want to get off this shit. And shit, man. Like I'm very thank God I have my health. My liver's fine. Like, I am like built to last. I got like 20 lives because, man, you know me. You really know me.
Yes.
I've fucking been through. And it's like, I don't even know how I still look like this. I feel like I'm 70 to tell you, but somehow backwards.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
what did Jim Carrey say at the movie awards? Like, here's 2 for God, 1 for the devil.
That's right.
I'm good. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. You gotta make sure
Yeah.
you pay the piper for sure.
Right.
And
And I'm good. It's like I probably if I came back and fought a few times. I beat Mari Cornejo
yes,
at her and I lost. That's why I hate boxing. I fought Raquel Miller. She dropped me 2 times. I could have finished the fight. I lost that. She's a legitimate fighter. Team USA, 70 amateur fights. I don't care. Fight. And then I had one more against Hannah Rankin, which was like, it's shitty. I'm B-side anyway, right? It's like, if you know boxing, A-side, B-side. And
yeah.
I outboxed the shit out of her. And it's like, of course I'm going to lose. You know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't some fucking, but I think I'm almost done. I've done a lot. I'm very happy with my career. I won't box again because it's not worth it. But like I said, I would take a fight with like Ken Harrison or like, that's probably about it because that's like the money fight. But they need to test him,
Yeah.
her.
Oh.
Fight I saw.
Oh.
Come
Yeah.
on. I know the test, by the way. I know the test. And she can come out and she can fucking defend it and she can say something like, I don't got a problem with her, but I know when fighters are juicing and they're not. And you're going to tell me that she's not on fucking enough to kill like a horse? All
yeah.
right.
Which Yogi says, I would sell my left boob and a half to see some of you school some of the new women that are overlooking you, like Kayla Harrison, Clarissa Shields, and Chris Cyborg.
Cyborg's always a stud. Her and I are cool. Like, she's fucking whatever. But Kayla is not overlooking me. She knows I'd fucking tat her up. It's like Clarissa's not dumb either. She knows she can beat me in boxing. I don't give a shit. But if I fought her tomorrow, I'd fucking whoop her ass in MMA. She knows that. And I don't give a shit. I respect her, and I'm not going to in boxing. Like, I know where I'm at. But in MMA, yeah. And so if she wants to fight, she can ask PFL for it. I'll fight her. She's not going there for like 3 years. By that time, I'm like really retired. Here, like, and she thinks she's never said anything disrespectful about me. So I'm not like trying to chirp something up that's like, or create something that isn't there. You're going to learn. Like, so if you think you can beat me, and I'll fight you. I'll totally fight. I'll fight anyone in MMA. Boxing, a little smarter, but.
Right, which I mean, it kind of goes into what Rocky was saying. Who would you want to fight past or present? And I think you laid it out.
Fuck. If you look at my career, I've fought fucking everyone. I would have loved to fight Cyborg. I sparred with her a bunch of times. Her and I were supposed to fight. We never did.
Yeah.
The drug test. Probably wouldn't have either back at that time. So I would have been popped for like Roy's she would have been Roy's and I would have been like fucking pain medication. We'd been like, the fight is off. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like,
I don't know. Somewhere in me, I think Cecil Peoples would have sanctioned that fight at Chick Chancy or some shit. Yeah. I don't know.
But you can look at me through my whole career. It's like for PTs, I never. Come on.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Be that as it may, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think her and I would have had a great fight. I think, and people know that. She's doing great things in Bellator. We have a great chick that's at McKee's, and I think she was supposed to fight in May, but
Sabrina?
No, I like her too. A little shout out
to
like her is I always think of her handle. It's Shakita, but I always
yes,
her name like Onyx whatever, Sapphire or something, but Shakita, she is like someone like Cyborg's like worst nightmare. She's like 6'1" or something, and just she's badass. I like training with her, and when she's ready, they'll put her in Bellator. I think she's like just right there anyway. 145. Watch out for this chick. She's gonna be like so. Yeah, we have the Body Shop Beauties. Sabrina's one of them. Her, and then we have a couple other girls that come in and out. But I don't know, man. I'm lucky to have gotten I'm lucky to have gotten a lot of chances in life, but to be able to come back and fight again, it's very rare.
Yeah.
So just remember, when all those decisions that we make, sound like my dad, will affect your future, Erin. Right. So like, I'm glad I'm here today and, talking to people like you. So you're dope.
Oh, thank you. You are too. My goodness. And I mean, we definitely thank you. And that's why you're such an inspiration. Your many stories rising from the ashes. Thank you for sharing your many lives with us. 100%.
It can, not everyone can do it. There's many things I don't know, man. I'm just lucky, and I'm just lucky to be here.
I mean, what is it? I hate that I'm quoting CM Punk, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Luck is for losers. You remember that promo? Basically, when he had signed, it was he signed to the UFC. He had an interview with Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan was like, "I wish you luck," and CM Punk was like, "Luck is for losers." And I just, I think it's that, because I think, luck is like opportunity meets experience, and you have all of that. So and I'm not an expert in things. I don't have a double AA in shit that I can't spell. But with that all being said, I think that's why you're here, and we're glad that you're here. You're a shining beacon of our combat sports community, and again, a lot of us wouldn't be here without the sacrifices that you made, which I eternally thank you, because why wouldn't I would have nothing to fucking talk about.
Yeah, right. It is cool. So I don't know, it can be done. It just depends, how bad do you want it, and what are you willing to do to sacrifice? And most people, you see that's what separates this from everybody else. So it's like, that's why those special people are special, because they do what other people refuse to do. So yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
Awesome life. And just getting started. I'll be 44 in June. So I feel like there's just so much more to do. I'm at a great point in my life. So I'm very happy.
Fuck yeah, and I enjoyed and loved meeting Erin at Fearless as Josanne Fuller, and low-key jealous of CC Nova for that last-minute corner step in. So I'm just...
No. She, when I had to corner that other girl,
yeah,
because she came there without a coach.
I've heard the story.
Okay, so that's what it fucking was. It's like, she came there without a coach, and I was like, oh my God, girl, what are you freaking doing? This is like pretty badass. But I go, so yeah, she asked me, and Justin and I were talking, because I go, are you more like, because fuck, man, if I would want somebody to help me if I came, and I would. And Justin, I'm like, are you more ground? Or are you more like, I go, because Justin will help you if you're more ground. And Justin's like, or are you more stand up?
Coaxing her to pick you.
Right. I'm more stand up. And I go, let's fucking do this, And hey, man, you do the most you can in like a couple minutes. And that's what happened. And she fought her heart out.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And it's a learning lesson. And you go back and you assess. And I'm sure she's done. Shout out to you for listening. I was very proud of you, as you know. Thank you for asking me. It's an honor. It's not a right to help somebody. And go back to the drawing board. And if it's something that you really want, you'll keep doing what it takes to get to where you want to be. That's it.
Oh, 100%, 100%. You have fought everyone. Much respect to you. And she mentions the cab ride and Jaws. You can check out the beginning of the podcast because we relive that harrowing deal.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. We
There's
talked about that earlier.
yes,
Like,
yes.
yeah, we were lucky to get back. We got to keep fucking shit. It was at a level 15. We needed it at like a level 3. So she knows. I'm glad she's listening. So shout out to you, Jocelyn.
Yeah. Oh, and she says Adam did me dirty. It's Jaws, not. Yeah. Sorry. Fuck. I fucked up. It's Jaws. It's never. Yeah. So I fucked up. I'm sorry, Jaws. Don't hurt me, please. Don't hurt me. I feel like Hadaway. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Hey, man, all if you ever want the you want the truth, you just ask me. It's like I don't got time for fucking shit. So I'm too old for that.
Yeah, as am I. So, Erin, thank you for joining us here. Thank you guys for joining us here at According to Woods. And oh wait, last but not least, where can people find you on social media?
Okay, so I had Erin Fights, which I had for a handful of years. I had like 7,000 people on there. It got old months ago. So anyway, I lost years, and I like tried with all my might for like 3 months to get it back. They're like, so it's Erin Toughill, ERIN.TOUGHILL. I think I just around Christmas, so you can find me. I'm on Facebook too, but I think it's like it's tapped out there. But hey, man, if you want to ask me anything about training, I train. That's what I do. I train a lot of people. Even during this time, people are always asking me about boxing. You can DM me. You can hit me up on Instagram. Follow me and check out what I'm doing.
Shit, yeah, man. Yeah. But again, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you. It's been an honor and privilege to have all of you guys watching here with us at According to Woods. And if you haven't already done so, I warmly encourage you to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and yes, Twitch. We're on Twitch. And fuck yeah, do that. But I mean, don't just take my word for it. Here's pro wrestler Zeta Zhang. What the fuck? I ran the promo and it didn't promo. What the fuck?
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure